Hello students, you're probably watching this because you were absent. So this is what we did in class. We're doing our value vases. And remember, we have to always remember when shading the three things. And those three things are shading, midtone, and highlight. So you're going to need an eraser, you're going to need a ruler, and you're going to need a pencil. So this doesn't have to be perfect, but you're going to need a line down the center of your paper. You're going to want some room at the top, and you're going to want some room at the bottom. Next, you're going to move your ruler to the edge of your paper. Make sure the edge of the ruler is flush with the edge of your paper, and you're going to make a parallel line to the one you just made. So now you have room at the top, the bottom, and the side. So now we need to make these two parallel lines a rectangle. And if they're uneven, just make them even. It's okay. Now, we need to make another rectangle, but we need to make it smaller because this one's going to be the large vase and this one's going to be the smaller vase. So this one's in the foreground and this one's in the background. So it needs to be smaller. So just like you did over here, you line up the edge of the ruler with the edge of your paper, and you're going to make a line just like this one, but a little bit smaller. See how there's a little bit of room at the top and the bottom? Now we just got to make that rectangle, and it's going to be all the way over to the large rectangle. Now, we need to use some measurements. So, I hope you know the difference between inch and centimeters on your ruler. It's going to say inch, and it's going to go to 12. And then the centimeters is going to go all the way to 30. You want to use the side that says inch. Now, most rulers, the measurement isn't going to start at the edge. It's going to start at the 0. So you're going to want to line up the 0 with that line at the top of your rectangle, and you're going to mark 1 inch and 2 inch. Then you're going to turn your ruler, and at those two lines you just made, you are going to create a horizontal line. That way you have two stripes at the top of your large rectangle. Now we need to do the same thing for the smaller rectangle, but instead of inch, we are going to use a 1/2 inch. So just like the other one, we want to line up the measurement of 0 with our line. That's why these rulers are clear, so you can see through them. And then you are going to mark 1/2 inch. Now notice how on the ruler there's 3 long lines. You want the one in the center, that's 1/2 inch. And then you're going to mark 1 inch. Okay? So again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to line up your ruler with the line you just made. And the other one. Don't worry about if these line up. You don't necessarily want them to. If they do, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. Next, you need a stripe down here at the bottom. So we have 2 up here on each of them, and we need 2 down here. So you can just eyeball it. You don't have to get the perfect measurements. Now, we have to put some triangles in there. Now you're going to make lines from here to here. Make sure when you do the triangles that the points don't touch, and I'll show you what I mean right now. You don't want these 2 points to touch because this is the beginning of your vase. Okay, and you're going to do it for the smaller rectangle. And then you're going to do it on the bottom. You're just kind of going to cut the corners. And same thing with the smaller. Okay, see how it's starting to look like a vase? Now, I would rotate your paper. This was what makes it easier. You're going to put the curves in your vase. So you're going to start with this angle here, you're going to kind of follow that angle and kind of rotate your wrist to get it that curve. Okay, and that's the start of your vase. You're going to do this twice for the large rectangle. And now you're only going to do this once for the smaller vase, because remember, this is in the foreground and foreground's in the front and background's in the back. And as objects move farther back in the paper, they get smaller. So we can't see the other side of this vase, so we're not going to worry about that side. So we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so now is where your eraser comes in. You are going to erase all lines except for the perimeter of your vase. Okay? Okay, now I have a lot of shavings and debris on here. And remember, you got to get into the habit of not wiping your paper like this. You just kind of want to tap it, get all those shavings off, because you will smear your drawing. Okay, now it's time for some shading. So remember what the darkest value of the three things you need to remember is going to be shade. So our light source is coming from this direction. So we know that since the light source is here, this side is going to be the lightest, so that's going to be our highlight. So then that means on the left-hand side of this vase is going to be darker. So let's get into shading. Now when you're shading, you want to make sure that you are going two different directions. So I'm going one direction and then I'm going another. And remember, this is your darkest value, so you should be using heavy pressure with your pencil. And also you want to make sure that you are following the curve of your vase. You don't want to go straight down. That will get rid of the 3 dimensions. And you want to keep those 3 dimensions so you can have that illusion. Now your next step, you're going to need a paper towel, or you can use your finger. You just get a paper towel and then you're going to smooth out those pencil marks. Smooth out those pencil marks. Now also remember, you're only doing it right here. You're not like all over the paper, because you're going to get all that pencil all over the paper, because as you can see, it's on my paper towel. And if I do all that, I'm going to get it all over the place. Okay, now next step, we need to get our midtones in there. So we need to use lighter pressure with our pencil so we can get those midtones. And I'm going to go both directions. All right, now I got to go the other way. And see, I'm still following the curvature of the vase. I don't want to go straight down. So I'm going to use my paper towel again. And see, I'm still getting some outside the lines, but that's okay. Just use your eraser and then you just go over it lightly to take off that extra pencil. Remember, don't smear. I'm gonna go and make this a little bit darker. Kind of got wiped off. Okay, now we need to do our lightest pressure. Remember with our worksheet, that number 2, we barely touch the pencil to the paper. So that's this one. And now as we get to this side of the vase, we kind of want to go that way and follow the vase. And remember, leave a little bit of white of the paper because that's going to be our highlight. Okay, now we're going to use our paper towel. And now since you have so much lead on this, you can actually go a little bit closer to that highlight to get those ultra fine values. Okay, so I missed a little bit here. I'm gonna add some. Okay, and now's the time you want to clean up all the way around your vase. Okay, now we're going to do the exact same thing over on this one. Now, a few things that students have trouble with is they want to put the dark shade right here on this one. But you got to remember, you got to pick up this and copy and paste it over here. So the left side of this vase is dark. So the left side of this vase has to be dark as well. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Now I got to go in with my midtones. Now careful, since my hand is on the bottom, like it's touching the paper, it's going to have some pencil. So careful that you're picking up your hand instead of dragging it, because if you drag it, you're going to smear your drawing. Now I want to be really careful because I want ever so slightly a highlight that goes through it. That's going to tell your brain that these two vases are not connected, because that's going to give the illusion of 3 dimensions on a flat surface. It's going to be that highlight. So when I'm smearing it, I don't want to go into that other vase at all. See how I'm leaving just a little bit, a sliver of highlight. Okay, so go ahead and clean up your edges for the smearing. And then go over this one and really make that edge crisp, like a really straight line, super dark, because it is on the value side. Because right next to it on the other side is going to be that highlight for that vase. Okay, and do the same thing for this side. Okay, now we're going to clean up more of this spot right here because we really want that to be highlighted. Okay, and then go back over this super straight line. You don't want that quite there. You kind of want it more of a faded. All right, next step. We got to give our vases some shadow up at the top. So you're going to just make a curve along the top. Okay, and then you're going to have super dark edge right here. And then you're going to go into very light mid-tone right here, all the way to the edge. You're going to do that the same for both. Okay, and then you're going to smooth that out. You want a little bit to go outside. Okay, and then you're going to make a line to really highlight that edge of that vase. Okay, now we need to make those shadows. And shadows, it's going to go straight across because our light source is coming from this direction. So we really want to make sure that this is straight. We're not going to go diagonal. Okay, so we're going to start in the middle of this large vase. Remember, this is a shadow. And then we're going to go straight across. And then all of this is going to be a shadow. So that's your darkest value. That is your heaviest pressure with your pencil. Okay, and use your paper towel. Smooth out that scratchiness. Don't go up into this because you need a tiny little sliver of highlight here. So it separates those shadows. I'll tell you what I mean right now. So just like we did over here, we're going to go through half the vase. And we're going to go all the way down, but you're going to leave a little tiny bit of white paper. Okay? And you want that little sliver because that tells your brain that those two pieces are separated and the light is shining through. Okay, so again. And see how I smoothed it with my paper towel and I kind of got too much in there? You just take your eraser and you go back over it and take away the excess. Now I've taken too much, so I got to be real careful and go back. And oh, one thing I forgot, since you do have a bunch of pencil on your hand, you're going to want to go clean up any fingerprints. Okay, any fingerprints and take them off. There you have it. Don't forget your name plus rubric on the back.